Yes, sir.
Can I just ask you one? Can I ask you one question? Just about the words here, because I think.
Go ahead.
Okay. Because at the end, it's kind of like a circle, kind of circular. At the end, it says that the Agimo nation in Canaan, Megilli, or Amoichin.
Right.
Sham Atzvus Umubus Amoichin. V'hiyoisem Bechinas Canaan L'or Zeh. It sounds like a circle. They're Kalim because Sheshamu Atzmus.
Oil Hamoichin. Okay, start from the beginning of that line. Gimel Rishain is Heim Kalim Legilui Oil Hamoichin.
Right. Why Sheshamu Atzmus Umubus Amoichin? Why is there Atzmus Umubus Amoichin? Because they're Kalim L'or Zeh.
Right. I hear what you're saying. You're saying that the word moichin is used interchangeable for the oil hamoichin and for the moichin per se, for the kelim.
Let's say the reason why they're kelim or hamoichin is because sheshamu atzvus hamoichin, and the reason why sheshamu atzvus hamoichin is because they're kelim or hamoichin.
Gimel Rishain is Heim Kalim Legilui Oil Hamoichin.
Farvas.
What?
Farvas. Because sheshamu atzvus.
No, that's not Farvas.
Okay.
Which means, what it means, that Gimel Rishain is Heim Kalim Legilui Hamoichin, which means Shesham Hu Atmos Umubus Hamoichin. It means that there is the answer of the Umubus Hamoichin.
The hainu.
What?
It's the hainu, not.
Right. Okay, so we are on Ois Vav, which we started last night. Vezehu hatam. This is the reason. This is what we finished explaining. That the oir is mislabesh in the kelim in a manner that they unite completely and totally. This is the reason also Masha HaKelim Poyalim Behoiros, or the fact that the Kelim have an effect on the Oiros. Lihoyois Kimahuz HaKelim. So they are the Oir should be Kimahuz HaKelim in proximity to the Kelim. Like the Mahuz of the Kelim. As we discussed last night. That it's a phenomenal thing. Kelim, like taken on the Gashmis, on the lowest level. Kelim are Gashmis, Oiros are Ruchnim, Neshama. And yet, the Oir is able to relate to Gashmis. How can Oir relate to Gashmis? The answer is because the Oir is mislavesh in Kelim Gashmi. But it remains Oir. It remains Oir. But there is an effect of the fact that it's mislabish in the kelim. Because this is slapshus, is so total, so completely embracing, that the oir is able, appreciates gashmis. Because of this, it slapshus, this interrelationship. Which means that the kelim have an effect, poyalim behoiris, that the oiris should be like the mahuz kelim. Here we're talking the way it is Lamaila. We elaborated on this last night, the way it is in Gashmius, which is always beneficial to revert back to in order to understand where do we see that, what does it mean that the kelim have an effect on the others. Like we said, sight is a koyach re'iyah. Sight is essentially reflective of the koyach ha-chochmah. Chochmah is that which relates to pure truth, godly truth. And yet, sight is capable, as it is in the eye, is capable to see Gashmi as the case objects and see the truth of them, that they are true presence. The truth of Oil HaChochmah is Elokus. How does it then translate in Gashmi use? That is because it's mislabish in the eye. The eye is a keli for the Oil HaChoch, Oil HaRe'iyah, for the Koyach HaRe'iyah. And thus the Koyach HaRe'iyah becomes like the mahus of the eye, of the keli, which is Gashmi. The Koyach HaRe'iyah becomes like the mahus of the eye. We discussed this at length last night. But here we're talking at this point the way it is Lamaila. That Lamaila, there is the real thing in that the oiros are affected by being in the kelim, and they become like the kelim. Ukmoi, as an example, as in the case, bepool as his havus, in the ultimate effect of the creation. That the oiros, as a result of the oil being established in keli, it is capable of creating a world, creating yesh miyai. The ihu v'garmehi chad, that ihu, the oil, the garmehi means the keli. Chad is perfectly united, is one and the same thing. Libroi bohen, for the effect of creating bohen through them, b'dikelim me'ayin leyesh, to create through the kelim me'ayin leyesh a yesh element that is the creation me'ayin leyesh. There's much to be said just for these few words. Just a so to speak, a snippet. Oir leki is not a novelty. Oir leki is Elokus. Elokus, this is the primary reality. Motzu risha in mamze kol nimtzu, amit is in motzu. There is no novelty element in this because this is the fundamental reality. When you say that it creates me'ayin liyesh, means that in the creation there is a sense. There is a moment where it is not, and the moment that it is. In order to have that kind of a result, that the moment where it is not, the moment it is, the means by which this can be affected is something that can relate to that type of a reality, of existence, of yes and no. In oil, there is no such thing. In Kalim, there is this kind of thing. Why? As we discussed, because oil is mislabesh in the Keli, which means that Keli is a mitzias unto itself, and the oil is mislabesh in the Keli, which means that in the Keli there is a sense of no and yes. like we say always, let me say in a muscle of sight, which is in Gashmis, this is the foremost inyan of Oyer and Keli. This phenomenon in sight. Sight is such a bright and a total reality. You don't ask the question, how do you know? I see it. I see the reality itself. I don't need any proof for what I see. And yet, in sight there is also, it can relate to Gashmis. Where? Because sight is an active phenomenon. Because you can see and not see. You can close your eyes and not see. You see because you're actively seeing, even though you don't actively have to relate to the action of seeing. But you have to want to see because you can close your eyes and not see. It could be the option that I see, it could be there or could not be there. If I look at it, it's there. If I don't look at it, it's not there. Because of this twist, this phenomenon, this is how the object acquires a Gashmistic presence. Because Ruchnius is omnipresent. Gashmis is present only under certain circumstance in a certain place. How can the Koyach or the year relate? He said, Ruchnius to something that is Gashmi, is mislabish in the eye, and the eye has the capability of being focused in this direction or look in elbows or close the eye. And therefore it relates to Gashmis. This is what he says. The Hishavus may Ayin leyesh. In Koyach, in Oyer Leki, there is only the Ayin. There's no yesh. But then there is a slapshot, so the Oris in Kelim, where, as a result of that, through the Kelim there is Hishavus, there is Bria Me'ayin Leyesh. So now he explains that this Bria Me'ayin Leyesh, this is an illustration of the principle of Oiros becoming like the Kelim. Because the Hishavus, because the creation per se, who alidei ha'oyer davke. The Hishavus, having a presence, is only to the oyer, not the Keli. The Keli is not the force, the koyach that creates. The koyach that creates is the oyer. It said in Tanya in Gezakedish that the oir has the capability of creation. What does that mean? The oir has a capability of creation. What is this special capability in the oir? It is lafi she'ha'oir me'en ha'moir, because oir is reflective of the moir. And the moir, this is mehusa ve'atzmusa, this is the mehus of Elokus Atzmus itself. This is the absolute truth in and of itself. And the oir is reflective of that absolute truth. Shehu levadoi, where he alone, bekoichoi v'yicholto, is within his capability and in his power, lahavois yesh me'ayin, to create a yesh from ayin, a presence from a non-presence. Which means the koyach ha'hishavus, the power of creation, who be'atzmus dafko, is exclusively in Atzmus. Atzmus has the capability, the union of his havos, of bringing things into being. Ubo alidei ha'oir, and that capability is manifest through the oir, comes forth through the oir. How does it come through the oir? Because the oir is me'ein ha'moir, is reflective of the moir, and therefore the oir has this capability that is exclusively within the moir. This koyach of his habus, who levad the bekirchen b'chol habus yesh me'ayin, only he has the capability of creating yesh me'ayin. The koyach his habus is me'atzma davka. The phenomenon of his habus, of koyach his habus, is explained in Tanya. That in fact, his habus is where something comes into being without there being any earlier source, basis for its existence. This is yesh me'ayin. Alter Rebbe uses the following analogy to explain to us. When a person invents something, an extremely novel idea, and he goes and he designs it and creates the cell phone. Every step in the way, every part of this cell phone is something that the means by which he's created it pre-existed the cell phone. He found the means by how to utilize those aspects. But effectively, they all pre-existed this, all part of the creation of the world. This is not yesh me'ayin. With his seichel, he's able to see how one thing would react to another thing, and as a result of that, he creates an entity that has a surface that is phenomenal. But it's not yesh me'ayin. This inyan that it's not yesh me'ayin is to such an extent, I'd like you to understand. Yes, the machinery, the unit is not yesh me'ayin because it uses the material, but the phenomenal, the function of it, the fact that you can speak from a distance and go across the world, this is yesh me'ayin. It's not yesh me'ayin. That itself is also not yesh me'ayin. Because the phenomena of the world being interrelated. Like we said, a person is where he wants to be. He can jump across the entire existence and be where he wants to be. This whole creation is within the reality of the unity of the world. This was not created by the invention of the cell phone. This was not created by the invention of the cell phone in the world in general, and within the human being himself too. because the human being, as we speak all the time, actually relates to the entire reality. The human being is never like have an animal in this place, doesn't know anything else. It always, every little place is part of the entire reality. Human beings have been going across the globe, across the oceans, since the beginning of time. They didn't have cell phones. They had no idea what's doing over there. They embarked going across the ocean. They had no idea where they're going. But they knew they're going within the reality that they perceive. They're not going to lose sight of the reality.
What was, I kind of lost track here. What's the nimshal? What are we saying? What's the point of saying the cell phone and these human creations are not yesh me'ayin?
To point out how yesh me'ayin is exclusively within the purview of Atzmus. Atzmus creates an 100% novel in it. Which is not basing itself at all on something that pre-existed to its existence. Do I have you with me? If I say, I want this cup to be over here, and the cup gets over here. Yesh me'ayin. Right? I want my... Surely you cannot explain how my wish moved the cup over there. You cannot explain. Nonetheless, this is not real yesh me'ayin. Yeah, it's a shalei b'yerech. The will to move the cup is shalei b'yerech. But it's not a real yesh me'ayin. Why? Because this place where I want it to be existed before I wanted the cup to be there. It existed in my conscience. This bringing the cup there is at a much lower level. It's on a functional level. Yes, it's very novel, but it's not yesh me'ayin. Yesh me'ayin is exclusively in Atzmus. Atzmus is not at all dependent on there being something prior to what Atzmus defines.
Not dependent on what?
On there existing something prior to the definition that Atzmus gives it. This quote, prior to that, after that thing in Tanya it says, he is capable of having yesh me'ayin. Why? Because mitziyusoi me'atzmusoi. His mitziyus does not have any other source but itself. He has that defining element of yesh me'ayin. What's yesh me'ayin? Means something exists without an explanation how it exists. Only he has that capability. If we move the cup from here to here, yes, it's an accomplishment, so forth, but you can explain everything, how it happened. This place is here, and the cup is here, So now we join the two things together. Makes sense. Therefore, his avos is von Atzmus. How does Atzmus manifest itself? How the koyach von Atzmus manifests itself? It is to the oil of Atzmus. Because oil meyin hamoyer. Therefore, the creation is factually through the oil, not decaying. So we're going to go a little bit quickly over here in these two lines, so we have a complete message, and we'll have to discuss next time. The koyach his havos hu be'asmus dafke, which means that the power to his havos is in asmus exclusively. Ubo alidei ha'oir, and this koyach comes through from asmus through the oir, because oir is representative of the asmus. Omnom, however, mehoir atzmoi, from the oil itself, harayev sheli es mitzius yesh. The oil alone itself cannot be mitzius of yesh, because oil is ayin. Oil is not a mitzius. So now we have to put, so to speak, in perspective. Yes, the koyach lizhavos is from the oil, but how does it actually come to be? Oil is not a yes. Vezehu havaya echod, which is actually the principle expressed in these words. Havaya echod. Echod means only that there is only havaya. The mitzad shem havaya, it means to say that from the perspective of shem havaya, which is the oil eliki, then the world, even after that they came into being, they are in total beetle, betachlis, to the extreme. Like they are not there. Their presence has not changed anything. Their being there or not being there is identical. V'hainu, which means to say, Mishem havaya atzmo yefsheli es mitzius yesh. That from the Shem havaya itself, even though this is the koyach hayizav koyach atzmus, but the mitzius yesh cannot possibly come from that directly. Because Shem Havaya, this is what the Rambam calls Amitis Himotzoi. Amitis Himotzoi is not a created entity. A created entity has to have a beginning and a middle and an end. The Rebbe says, Amitis Himotzoi does not have the parameters of world, of Metzias Yesh. Ve'al came, and thus, Gam li'achas shenizhavus, even after that they came into being, harehim betelim, they are bottled, non-emptincies, k'moi koidim shenizhavus, exactly as they were before they came into being. This is the way it would be mitzad oir, and this is just an introduction. Okay, so have a great day. You have to interrupt now. Shabbos. Yeah, Mr. Shabbos.
6:30.
When is Liebenschen, do you know? Do you check?
So 7:20 maybe.